Once upon a time, there lived a beautiful maiden called Oledu. She was very beautiful and she caught the attention of all the men in the village. Oledu was an orphan who lost her parents at a very tender age. She lived with her grandmother, who also passed away few years after she lost her parents. Oledu was left alone to struggle and survive. She worked hard, which helped her, and she never lacked anything. Oledu rejected every man who came her way. Many rich men came from far and near to ask her hand in marriage, but Oledu refused all their proposals. Among them was the governor's son, Richard, a very rich, powerful and influential personality. Richard was deeply in love with Oledu because of her unique good character. Richard became so attracted to Oledu after he met her on his way home from a visitation to his friend. Oledu gave Richard a reason, saying she was in love with another man and that she could not betray her love. Richard left the village with a broken heart and never returned, though he promised Oledu to always come to him whenever she needed help. Oledu had a boyfriend named Uchenna, who was in university at the time. She was willing to wait for Uchenna, no matter how long it took. People in the village even began to gossip about how Uchenna had another girlfriend at the university. They told her to move on with her life, otherwise, Uchenna, after completing tertiary, would leave her for another. Oledu did not listen to any of these talks. She was patient and she knew her Uchenna would come to her at the right time. As years passed, Uchenna completed school and came home. Oledu was happy to see him. She prepared his favorite meal for him and they celebrated his success. Months passed and Uchenna was still in the village doing what every illiterate in the village did, farming and visiting one house to the other. He had not gotten government job or any work from a company. Oledu advised Uchenna that they should go to the city where he would have better jobs opportunities, much easier than in the village. Uchenna listened to his girlfriend and they both set off to the city. In the city, they knew no one and it was not easy for them. Oledu and Uchenna slept in front of people's shops at night and early in the morning they would wake up and do minor jobs to survive. Oledu was determined and would not leave Uchenna because of poverty. Oledu promised Uchenna she would always be there for him no matter what happened. She said she would go through the hard times with him, knowing one day things would get better. Oledu and Uchenna slept outside in front of people's shops for 6 months until one day a man named DK, whom Oledu met while hawking granules, offered to help them. DK found interest in Oledu, but she told him she had a man in her life. DK, withstanding all Oledu had said, was still interested to help her. Oledu told him her story and he offered to help. Uchenna was happy to hear that he would be acquiring a job in the shortest possible time. DK offered to them one of his unused apartments. Oledu and Uchenna moved into the apartment and they finally had a roof over their heads. Uchenna was employed as a personal assistant in one of DK's companies. They were all grateful to DK for his kindness. Oledu, who stopped schooling after her secondary school, could not find any proper office work. She searched for jobs and one of the companies employed her as a cleaner. But then, she was doing so well. She saved from her little salaries. She was managing her home as every good woman should. As time went by, Uchenna's attitude towards Oledu changed. Uchenna would nag at any slight mistake. He complained a lot. Oh, There is too much salt in the food. Why are you coming back from work late? You did not iron my shirt well. Is that how we prepare egusi soup? And so on. Oledu was surprised at his sudden change of behavior. One day, Oledu returned from work only to find a lady in the house who introduced herself as Uchenna's fiancée. Oledu could not believe it. At a moment, she thought she was dreaming. Oledu, out of curiosity, waited for Uchenna to return from work and explain to her what was going on. When Uchenna returned, he did not deny it. Uchenna went on and told Oledu to pack her things and leave the house immediately because he could not have two ladies under the same roof. Oledu, who was heartbroken and unsure of what to do, called Uchenna to the room and reminded him of where they came from, what they have been through together, and how far they have come. Uchenna told her he was now a big man. He was working in a big company and could not certainly be seen associating with a cleaner and a half-educated lady as his woman. Uchenna angrily went into the room and wrote a check for Oledu, telling her to take it as a payment for the sacrifices she offered for him to attend tertiary while she stayed at home. Years back, after completing their secondary school, Uchenna lost his parents and Oledu offered to him her school fees for him to attend tertiary while she remained in the house and worked to enable Uchenna get access to all the resources and complete successfully. Oledu thought he was the man, so it would be good if he becomes successful. Little did he know what the future holds. Uchenna told Oledu he was grateful for her sacrifices, but they could not be together. Uchenna told Oledu to leave the house as soon as possible because his fiancée was the daughter of a wealthy man who would not tolerate her presence in the house. Oledu left the check on the table. She went inside and packed her things and left the house. Uchenna was, however, surprised that she did not take the money, knowing fully well that she was desperately in need of the money. Uchenna and his beloved Ada had all the space in the house for themselves. Oledu went out and started her life from scratch. She slept outside and even under the rain. Oledu refused to go to any man for help. She thought of going to DK and even Richard, but felt a voice inside her that she could do it alone without a man. Oledu worked hard day and night, from one shop to the other, from cleaning houses and companies to hawking on the street. She did not care who was laughing at her. She was determined to make it and make herself proud. A year later, Oledu saved enough money and enrolled herself in university. She went to a medical school. Her dream of becoming a medical doctor was finally coming to reality. She always worked hard after each vacation in order to pay her debts and sustain herself in school. As years passed, Oledu completed the medical school and became a renowned medical doctor. She left the streets. Oledu purchased her own hospital after working for the government for few years. She had her own private hospital, a very big and popular one, where everyone wanted to attend when they were sick. She named it Dr. Ole Hospital. Oledu, who knew how things could be hard for people, launched a foundation, Dr. Ole Helping Foundation, where she helped the needy and offered scholarships to youth to be enrolled in school. Meanwhile, Uchenna lost his job. His so-called fiancée Ada did not give him peace of mind after she moved into the house. It was from one problem to the other each passing day. This attitude gave him depression and affected him badly. As a result, he was sacked from work. Ada left him when he lost his job and could not cater for her. DK later took the house from him because he was no longer working in the company. Uchenna was jobless and homeless. As a result, no woman wanted to associate with him because they were not willing to suffer with him. He was now living in an abandoned kiosk. Uchenna washed people's clothes for them to pay him. One day, Uchenna ran into Oledu in the market. They were both shocked to see each other in their various conditions. Oledu was surprised at the fall of Uchenna, and Uchenna was shocked and ashamed of himself for the rise of Oledu. Uchenna, who had been hearing of the famous and wealthy Dr. Ole, did not realize it was his own Oledu all this while. They both asked each other about their transformation. Oledu told Uchenna how she survived, and Uchenna also narrated how he lost his job and became homeless. Uchenna begged Oledu to forgive him for his foolishness. With remorse and sincerity, Oledu forgave him. Uchenna begged Oledu to come back to him so they could start all over again together. Oledu refused. She told him she had learned her lessons. Oledu left him with some money for him to rent an apartment. Uchenna was, however, grateful for the money because he needed it to at least have a roof over his head. He went and rented an apartment. Days later, Uchenna went to Oledu and begged her to employ him as a cleaner in her hospital. Oledu, whose heart was filled with beautiful colors of gold, employed him. Oledu later got married to Ekene, who was also a renowned lawyer in the country. Uchenna worked as a cleaner in her hospital and was able to take care of his needs. He later got married to a seamstress and they lived in their small apartment, being content with what they had. Oledu and Ekene grew bigger and bigger. They traveled from one country to the other, saving lives and rescuing the perishing. They had a beautiful family with 3 children, 2 boys and a girl. They lived happily ever after. Some of the lessons to be learned from the story is that we should always remember the good people has done for us and appreciate them, rather than acting prideful and as a result end up paying them with evil. We should also try not to hurt people who loves us unconditionally, because good people are always hard to come by. We should always forgive and grant people second chances to also bring out the best in them. Lastly, we must learn from our mistakes and move forward in life.